another plasma cutter from BestArc. Now this one is a big boy. In the past, they've been fairly small, but this one is much more powerful. Now just like turn it around. All right, so what do we have here? 80 amps, guys. All right, this cuts up to 1 inch, 60% duty cycle, industrial class F, single phase, 70 PSI, 80 amps. Compared to the other ones, this thing is a beast. I've got some 1 inch plate here, or bar stock. We're gonna give that a go. We're not gonna even mess with the 110 volt capabilities, just because, I mean, if you're buying an 80 amp plasma cutter, you're probably not gonna, man, there's boxes inside of boxes inside of boxes, which makes sense, because when you got something this heavy, you don't want it to get damaged. And normally I always give these away. I don't know if I'm gonna give this one away, guys. An 80 amp plasma cutter is pretty nice. All right, we're almost there. This is the BTC800DP. You know, I don't know if I can ship this, so I'm probably gonna keep this one for myself instead of giving it away. Or maybe I'll sell it locally, just because I already have 2 plasma cutters. But this looks pretty nice. So, we've got the regulator here. It has a moisture separator filter. This regulator looks like it might also be a solenoid. I don't know. Air inlet. So we got 220 volt power is going to be required for this. Got your power here on the back. So it's got some information here on the top. Kind of tells you exactly, you know, what you need for what. 80 amps, 25 millimeters or 1 inch, 70 amps for 3/4 inch, 60 amps for 5/8, 50 amps, 3/8, 40 amps, 5/16, 30 amps. So it looks like this thing operates all the way down to 20 amps at 110 volts. And then it has the air pressure and the amperage, all that. That whole chart is right on the top. So if you don't have to worry about knowing that information, it's right on the top, which that's a nice place for it. Let's look at the accessories here. All right, owner's manual. We got a ground clamp, air hose. I don't need the air hose. It has a quick fitting. Here's your 110 volt adapter. I'm not going to use that. To be honest, guys, when I cut thin stuff, I don't really turn the amps down. I just move the torch faster. So I know you can turn down, you know, and just cut at lower amperages, but typically, if I've got thin material, I just move a lot faster. To each their own. This is a pretty long, ooh, nice. This is a pretty long torch cable. All right, let's uncoil it. And it's got rollers, so you can drag this. So this is the torch. It's got this little guy right here with wheels to help it roll and keep the distance correct. This little bezel rotates. So when you put this, loosen these up a little bit, slide that on there, tighten those down. It can rotate. If you're gonna be cutting, you know, this direction, you can rotate it that direction. I imagine if you tighten these enough, it stops rotating. Yep, it rotates a little bit, that little plastic sleeve, but you can, also, this is height adjustable. So these are slots, so you can dial in your cut height. You can set that on the table. It's actually pretty about where I would cut right now. So it's about 1/8 of an inch above the table. So I like that. Torch feels good. It's pretty long. What is this, like 20 feet or something? It's nice and long. And then the one thing is like the type of connector they use, where it has the individual trigger and the power or ground. It could all be in one plug. That would be nice and convenient, but it's not a game changer, or it's not a deal breaker for me. It's still, overall, it's gonna have a lot of power. All these I've tested so far have done really well. And I've given a bunch of these away as and no one has ever said, hey, it doesn't work anymore. So I feel like this is a pretty good bang for your buck. Peel off the cover. Of course, they're underneath the handle, so sometimes it pops off. Okay, I'm gonna hook this up and then I'll come over here and show you how it works. All right, so it's booting up. Important thing to know, it is impossible to hook it up incorrectly, so it's completely idiot proof. All of these, like this is color coded and there's no other place to hook the red wire. This won't connect to here. This only connects there, so you can't do this wrong. It looks like the air pressure regulator is right here on the front of the machine. This is something that's really cool. Some of my other machines, this regulator is on the back here. So you'd have to like reach around. Where here, it's right here on the front. Of course, it has an error because there's no air hooked up. So let me quick hook up some air so we can get going. So for 80 amps, it's telling me that I should have between 60 and 70 PSI. So it's at 60. Let me turn that up to 65. Now I'm gonna test what it goes down to when it's actually flowing. So when it's actually full flow, I want that to be up to 60. All right, so the pilot arc's gonna be a little bit high, but the actual cutting's gonna be low. And the reason for that is because I'm using a 1/4 inch air line right now. If you want that to not be the case, you need to hook it to a larger air line. But to get to this point in the shop right here, I have this line available, so that's what I'm using. It's gonna be okay. The pilot arc's gonna be a little extra air, and you can actually adjust the pilot arc time. So this PA here, 3 seconds all the way up to 15 seconds for the pilot arc. I'm gonna leave it at 3. And then the PT is, I think, the post airflow, how many seconds you want the airflow on after you stop cutting. This is a good way to extend the consumable lifespan, is to keep that all the way up. So without further ado, guys, let's cut some steel. I'll start with some smaller stuff and we'll work our way up all the way to 1 inch thick. Okay, I've got it cranked all the way to 80 amps. I'm just gonna cut the end off here. and we're gonna see how this works. So I'm gonna rotate this cut guide and we're gonna cut some steel. 80 amps, 1/4 inch plate. So that is a very clean cut. Let me do another one that's not so wobbly. How about that? So that is a very, very clean cut. I'm gonna try to do some holes. Man, that is nice. I'm gonna cut this off, clean it up a little bit, and then we're gonna get some thicker steel. Wow, that, guys, is amazing. All right. Let's get some big, heavy, thick steel now. We're gonna jump all the way up to 1 inch thick. No point in creeping up on it. From what I've seen, this is gonna have no problem. Well, let's do it. Okay. There you go, 1 inch thick. Let's try that again. I've never done this by hand, so let me take another shot at this. guide so I can cut a straight line. All right. So there you have it, 1 inch. Cut by hand. And I bet that slag will just not, I'm guessing that will just knock right off if we flip it over. There you have it. You've got 1 inch steel that you need to cut, and you want a beautiful cut on it. I'm sure you could do better than me. I'm kind of a noob at cutting by hand. I typically use a CNC plasma cutter, but it is nice to rip sheets down to size. All right, so just to recap, these are the controls. If you want to do your air test, you can see what your cutting pressure is going to be by turning the air on, turning it off. Now ideally you want that to drop as little as possible. Now, the reason that's dropping a lot is because I'm using a 1/4 inch hose. I should not do that, but I'm just at a spot in the shop where that's the one that reaches, so I'm using it. But you can see it didn't really matter. It did not keep it from making a beautiful cut. That's 1 inch thick, just reference. Yeah, and the 1/4 inch, where's that 1/4 inch plate? That was the 1/4 inch cut. And I didn't clean that up. That's the dross that was on that cut. So there you have it, guys. Oh, and this is the chart that I was telling you about. Gives you a rundown of, you know, what your settings should be. You've got T2 or 2T and 4T. I always run 2T. That's where it's momentary. This is your amperage setting over here. Goes from 15 amps all the way to 80. Pressure regulator. Overall, guys, I'm pretty happy with what I've seen. I'm confident this is going to be worth your money. This is your mist separator, moisture remover. Push up on it. Also, if you take the air off, it automatically releases and drains automatically. It's spring loaded. So you got an automatic draining moisture separator on the back. I'm going to leave it on right now just because I had it running, so it's cooling itself down. That's your tip. Let's take a look at the tip. It shouldn't have any wear at all. It doesn't. Perfectly round, and you only cut a tiny bit. It does come with a couple extra consumables. But overall, I'll have a link for this in the description. This is donated. Full disclosure, guys. I didn't buy this, but I've tested a lot of stuff from bestarc. And like I said, I've always done giveaways where I've given this stuff away to share in the wealth. And no one has ever said, hey, it stopped working. This is a great option to get you started. If you are a professional fabricator, I don't know. I don't know long term, but I know this is very inexpensive, and it cuts 1-inch steel bars. So that says a lot. It's easy to hook up. It's easy to use. It comes packaged in a box with foam. So they definitely did their due diligence on the packaging. I think this is a good buy. So like I said, check out the link in the description below. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm going to keep this one. It'll be my 3rd plasma cutter. It'll be nice just to be able to fire it up and rip sheets down, because sometimes I buy full sheets like that, but my plasma cutter can't handle full sheets, so they have to be ripped down using a hand torch, and this is probably going to be my go-to. So anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Once again, Richard with Beck Tools. Also, some of you guys have been around for a while. You're like, Beck Tools, I thought this was Beck's Armory. I had to change the name. Apparently search engines don't like the word armory because it insinuates these things, and that's blacklisted on the internet. And I got tired of being blacklisted, demoted all these years because I chose to associate with that. But that really doesn't have anything to do with my channel anymore, since I do tools. So it just made sense. It was time, it needed to happen. So we are now Beck Tools. And if you want to check out the website, guys, it's becktools.com with an S. Make sure you put the S on there. If you type in Beck Tool without the S, you're going to get some company machine shop in Pennsylvania, which is not me. I'm in Indiana, okay? So becktools.com. Thanks for watching. Give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment below, guys. It really helps out. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.